Now you can use Quilter just with printed circuit board documents on their own from whatever CAD tool you happen to be using. But you get the best results when you actually begin with real floor planning, and that starts as far back as the schematic. You'll see here, this is a very simple design, but I have a RP2350 microcontroller, and if I look at the properties of that, I want to show this here that I've configured this and a few of its bypass caps to be part of a component class called MPU. And also you'll notice that I'm using blankets. These blankets on the schematic allow me to attach PCB design rules and class directives to them. And so here I'm creating a component class USB-C for the USB Type-C interface. I've got another one for the main buck regulator, another one for the flash memory over here, another one called PyReg for the built-in DC to DC converter that's in the RP2350 chip, and so on. And I've also defined a blanket over here for my USB my USB diff pairs for before and after the series terminating resistors. If I wanted to, I could even go to the detail on the schematic side first of defining things like target impedance. I didn't bother doing that in this particular design. The other thing to make sure of is that my starting PCB and schematic are fully synchronized. So I don't need to run any other annotation or changes between them. They were already fully synchronized. And just to give you an idea what I'm starting with, this is the printed circuit board. So here, those blankets came in as rooms in my PCB document, and they can be used in Quilter to pre-plan the floor plan of my board. And I'm defining an area for each of those main circuits. This is a microcontroller board, so I've got the MPU room placed in the middle here. If I wanted to, I could even move the microcontroller into that spot. I could even place a component that belongs to a room where I want that main position for that component to be on the board, and Quilter will actually move the room and the other components that belong to that into that location. In this case, I'm happy just keeping this. Let's reset those error markers again. I'm happy keeping this with the critical components placed. So the first thing you need to do is start with a board outline. You've got your mechanical, at least in 2 dimensions, you've got your mechanical outline defined and the position of any critical components. So the USB connector, these GPIO headers with grounds, and the reset and debug switches, and a power I/O that will allow me to measure the output or override the output of the buck regulator. I could not fit those components and bring power in from an external source if I wanted to. So those are all pre-placed. I also have this other connector up here, which is for the single wire debug. It is not critical, so it's left outside the board with all the other components to allow Quilter to do the placement for that and optimize that. So what's going to happen here is Quilter will move the microcontroller into this MPU room. It's going to make sure that the inductor and bulk storage caps for the RP2350 DC to DC converter should go in here. And even without rooms, I could get a decent placement because Quilter is smart enough to know what a DC to DC converter is and all of that. So we'll look at that in the next step. But what we want to do now that our design is prepared is we're going to submit that to Quilter.